Hi guys, so the LLM year of mine, this whole school year is almost over because it's March now, and I was thinking about doing a video about all the books I've read during this year because I've read some interesting books, I think, and it's an interesting mix. I really wanted to remember which books I read, and I thought if I write it down in some kind of like book diary or something, I'm gonna lose it eventually because I travel a lot, and next year I'm probably gonna be in Germany and then in Czech Republic, so I thought it's the best if I do like this digital diary of all the books I read. So last summer 2019, I was in Venice where I went to this floating bookshop. There were some books that were a bit destroyed by all the water that's like all the flooding that's in Venice and stuff. So I got a book for €1 that was a bit destroyed, but you could still read it perfectly. Just like the cover wasn't so nice, and it was from Dan Brown. It was Il Codice da Vinci, so the Da Vinci Code. So I bought Da Vinci Code to read something in Italian because I wanted to improve my Italian. And it worked really well, although Da Vinci Code is super complicated even in English, so in Italian I was just like, wait, what is happening? So, but then I eventually found my way through the book. It was really good. And then school started, but I still wanted to read easy books, so I got Fabio Volo, Italian author, and I started reading his books in the order that he wrote them. So I started with his book that he wrote in 2001 and then moved to the book he wrote in 2003 and 2006. I currently have this book on my bedside, which is the book he wrote in 2007. Looking forward to reading this. Yeah, it's always really nice to read his books because it's about life and love, which I love reading about. So this is the book that's expecting me probably after exams. I'm gonna read this one and then go through the list of all books he wrote and then see what he wrote after this 2007 book and finish the bibliography of his. And then school started, right? So my professor was talking to me about Philippe Sands. He made this really interesting book called East-West Street on the origins of genocide and crimes against humanity. It has 496 pages. I really loved it, so I was finished in like less than a week with the book, which is crazy, but it was such a great book. I would totally recommend it. I thought when Philippe Sands is so good, I would like to like read another one of his books. So I read Lawless World, America and the Making and Breaking of Global Rules, which I didn't love so much because with lawyers writing books, it's almost always having like an idea in their head and then saying what they would say in like a law journal article, which they could write in like 15 to 20 pages. They would extend it in a whole book of like 100 or 200 pages, and they repeat themselves so much, it's awful. So this is what happened in Lawless World. Like, he would constantly repeat himself, and the idea was basically laid down in the first like chapter or two, and then it was just like going on and on in the same kind of tone. It was so boring, and I had to like push myself to finish the book, but I did, and it's worth the experience. Wouldn't recommend it, but I'm glad I finished it, and now I know it's really bad for my taste. These two books were kind of like fall and beginning of winter, and then we had a Christmas break and there was a strike, so I went home really early. I was reading all the books that I wanted to give to my relative, mostly books about travels and like all Czech books that were like current sellers, so I had to read really quickly so that I could buy the books, read them, give them to my relatives. So it was like quick reading but really good books about travels, which was nice because it was winter and really cold in Prague, and I was reading all these books about traveling in like nice places, warm places, which was good. I also read Great Gatsby in New Year, which is like a classic from Scott Fitzgerald. It's really short and small. I got the paperback version. This, when you're like traveling and stuff, you can just take it with you. It's really light. It has some 200 pages, so really quickly read. And then it was January, so I came back to school and I got another book, The Internationalists and Their Plan to Outlaw War, which was super interesting. It's a book by Oona Hathaway and Scott Shapiro. And yeah, I really enjoyed reading it. It was this history of how lawyers and like law scholars decided to outlaw war. I didn't enjoy the beginning so much because it was more like historical and stuff, although it was interesting background. I really enjoyed the last kind of couple of chapters, which were more on like what's happening now and what are the implications of like outlawing war. Next book I got was from Jeffrey Robertson. It's called Stephen Ward Was Innocent Okay, which was a really short book, quickly read. I liked it. It was about overturning Stephen Ward's conviction, another law book. Yeah, and it's not so precise on the referencing, and again it was written by a lawyer, so it was more like you could have said this in a journal article, you didn't have to write a book about it. And I kind of enjoyed reading the book, so I didn't mind, but again it was super repetitive. I guess that's the thing that happens when lawyers write books. Another book was recommended to me by another professor. I was contemplating writing my dissertation on Tokyo tribunals, which was why I got this book. Stay the Hand of Vengeance. Yeah, by whom? Gary Jonathan Bass, on the politics of war crimes tribunals. And I started reading it and I was like, wow, this is a good book for a law book. And then I read through this chapter 5, which was on Nuremberg tribunals. And I was like, okay, Nuremberg, so Tokyo must be next. And kind of looked through the next few pages and I was like, there is nothing on Tokyo tribunals. Okay, so what am I gonna do? Like, I have to submit my dissertation topic in a few days and I have read nothing on the topic. So I decided not to write about Tokyo tribunals and not to finish this book, but maybe I'm still gonna do it. I have a lot of time because there's another strike. I might still finish it. I decided to write my dissertation on the killing of Qasem Soleimani, if it was like a targeted killing or if it was during a war or whatever. I still have to do some reading on this topic. We already had a small discussion at uni about it, so I know a little bit and I think I know how I want to structure this. I hope it's gonna be okay. So this is one of the books that I'm currently reading, or I'm gonna get back to reading as soon as I finish this book, The Lost Properties of Love by Sophie Ratcliffe. I got it for Valentine's Day. It came out with a new cover. Philippe, from whom I had those other books, recommended on Twitter, so I thought it must be good. And Sophie Ratcliffe is a scholar, so I was expecting that it's gonna be repetitive again and sort of boring, but it's not. It's a really beautiful book. Last night when I was reading it, I was like, wow, this is so much about me, my life. And it's very like frankly written. She's talking a lot about her family and her lovers. There are some similarities with my life, so I was like, oh, okay. It's like looking into the mirror, sort of. Very, as it says, intimate and raw. I would definitely recommend this book. I posted it on social media, like on Instagram and Twitter and stuff. Sophie Ratcliffe actually wrote to me, wished me the best of luck for my studies and stuff. So that was really, really nice, and I love this book and the author. I'm gonna be finishing this book soon. Then there's another book that I bought recently for £1, and this is my all-time favorite book that I've read so many times in Czech, and I thought I could read it in English too. It's called The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera, Czech author who went to exile in France and wrote in French, but his books were translated in so many different languages. It's weird to be reading this in English because I feel like it's not how he would have said it. In Czech it's like so much better. I'm still in the first like third of the book, and there were definitely books like The Internationalists that I read super quickly and I was like, wow, this is super great. And then it's like Lawless World, where I was really pushing myself to finish this thing. I was just like, how is this even possible? How could anyone publish this? This is all the books I've read, so yeah.